Greetings, pen pals. This is not a Montblanc 149. This is a Montblanc 149. What this is a Jinhao model x159. Not to be confused with the Jinhao 159, which has been out for years. We're going to compare and contrast all of these pens in this episode. So this is a fairly newly released pen. This is a knockoff of a Montblanc 149, which is basically Montblanc's flagship pen. It's a large cigar-shaped fountain pen. This has been Montblanc's flagship for years. It's quite an expensive and pricey pen. It's made out of what Montblanc calls precious resin, which is really just a fancy name for plastic. This Jinhao one is made out of plastic. Also, this Jinhao x159. The original 159 from Jinhao was a very different pen. They're all pretty much the same size and shape, and let's lay them next to a Metropolitan of contrast. So we're talking about pretty much the same length pen, although these guys here. We're talking about pens that are all very similar. They all have a cap band in the same place. They all have a clip band in the same place. They all have a trim ring in the same place. The Montblanc is a genuine piston filler, so this is an actual piston filling knob. The two Jinhaos are cartridge converters, so this is just a trim ring down there. Where we start to get differences in the materials and the weights. So a genuine Montblanc 149 of this era, so the weights are going to be slightly different because they did change the feed material and manufacturing the interior piston mechanism material slightly over the years. But this is one from the 1970s, and this one weighs in at 32 grams. The plastic Jinhao x159, the newer pen, weighs in slightly less at 27 grams. Now, the original Jinhao 159 is a heavy all-metal pen. This is a metal pen, painted metal. This weighs in at 46 grams, quite a bit heavier. The other thing that's different is, let's look at the clips here. As you can see, the Montblanc clip and the Jinhao clip, while not the same, are still somewhat very basic, understated clips. The clip on the original Jinhao 159 had this hideous Jinhao shield logo put on there, which really just did not do much for the overall aesthetics of the pen, I would say. Basically, all the years that I had this pen, I said they need to fix three things on this to make this a legitimate, not legitimate I should say, but make it a good knockoff of the Montblanc 149. They need to get rid of the shield logo, they need to make it plastic or acrylic, and they need to take this very underwhelming number 6 nib, which is the same number 6 nib that's on a million Jinhao pens, and replace it with a number 8 size nib. And they did that on this pen. So they got rid of that shield logo, they made it a plastic pen, and they came out with a number 8 size nib, which looks and writes quite nicely, as we'll see. So let's go through the various parts of this pen, and we'll go from there. So basically, the cap band has the word Jinhao on it on one side, and then in a very, very tiny, almost unreadable, at least to my eyes, font, it says x159. Like we said, we have a cap band, a clip band, and a trim ring. It is a twist to open pen, and it takes 2 3/4 turns to open. Now that's quite a bit different. Genuine Montblanc 149 takes 1 turn to open, as well as the original Jinhao 159 also took 1 turn to open. So quite a bit more turns to open. It of course does post, and posts quite nicely. I'm a big fan of posting, but it's certainly long enough to use unposted, but it does post and it stays securely. In terms of the section, it's a pretty nice looking section, and they really did a nice job paying homage, if you will, to the Montblanc, because it's a very, very, very similar section. The nib, of course, is a number 8 size nib, and we'll get to how that writes in a minute, but it's a number 8 size nib with the Jinhao Chariot logo, some scroll work, a breather hole, and an F for fine. And of course, it has a uninspiring plastic feed. Another difference between this and a genuine Montblanc pen would be that this is Cartridge Converter. The converter is a fairly nice one, and it is included. The Montblanc pen is, of course, a piston filler. The inside here, where the converter meets the rest of the pen, is nice to see, is metal, which does add a nice little bit of weight to the pen, and substantial, and you have sort of a plastic on metal here, which I think is nice. Well, that's about it for the individual parts of the pen. Let's compare nibs across the line now, shall we? Okay, let's do a little bit of nib comparison. So this is the original Jinhao 159, has a steel number 6 size nib. It does say 18K GP there, but you can just ignore that. I'm not even sure. That supposedly means, I guess, 18 karat gold plated, which doesn't really mean much of anything, but it is a steel nib. It's a great nib, number 6 nib. I like it a lot. It's found in a lot of Jinhao pens. It's easily swappable, upgradable, etc. It is a good nib. It is an undersized nib for a pen that's as substantial as this one. So that was one of my big gripes with, if you're trying to make a Montblanc 149 knockoff pen, then you should have a number 8 size nib. This is a genuine Montblanc 149 with the Montblanc number 8 size nib. Now this particular one is 14 karat. If you were to buy a new one today, it would be 18 karat. But again, like I said, this is an older one. During the period that this pen was made, this pen featured a 14 karat nib, unless it was one of the very small number of pens meant for export to France. France requirements, in order to be called solid gold, has to be a minimum of 18 karat gold. So the nibs made for the French market were 18 karat. The nibs made for everywhere else in the world were 14 karat during this era. If you were to go to a store right now and buy a new Montblanc 149, it would be an 18 karat nib, but not from this era. But this is the size of the nib, has not changed. This is the new Jinhao x159 nib. It's a steel nib as well, also number 8 size, slightly different geometry. It's basically fatter across. It doesn't have sort of the sleek kind of tapered look, and the tines don't have sort of that nice sort of severe taper look to them. But the overall dimensions of the nib are a number 8 size nib in steel. This is in steel. This is in 14 karat gold, or like I said, if you were to buy a new one today, it would be in 18 karat gold. So that is a comparison of the nibs on these pens. And yes, of course, we all know pens were meant to write, and I know you want to see this pen write, so I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, like we said, what we're writing with here today is a Jinhao number x159, and this has a number 8 steel nib in fine, and this writes quite well. It is smooth. I would say it's got about average wetness, but it flows well, etc. So no complaints there. It pretty much gets the job done in terms of being a clone of a genuine Montblanc 149. So I think this really, in my perspective, addresses all the gripes, so to speak, that I've had for years. And the original Jinhao 159 has been out for quite a few years. I always just thought, what were they thinking of? They tried to come up with a clone of a 149, but they just really missed the mark. I mean, it doesn't need to be metal. It doesn't need to have this hideous little logo on here, and it certainly should have a number 8 nib. And they really addressed all 3 of those things with this one. So if you're looking for a 149 clone, and it is a 149 clone, it is not a counterfeit. There's no Montblanc branding on here, etc. So, you know, this is definitely not a counterfeit pen. It is a black cigar-shaped pen, etc., that matches a 149. So I think that's fair game, to be honest with you. Like I said, it's not a counterfeit pen. It is basically a knockoff pen. So, which is widely done. You may not like it, but it is widely done. Speaking of liking it, one thing that would be great, or a few things that would be great, is if you folks could all please like, comment, share, and subscribe. That would be much appreciated by myself. But in any case, that will just about do it for this video. I certainly hope you enjoyed watching it, because I sure enjoyed making it. And until we see each other again, have a great day. Bye-bye.